Let's go to our first question, and it is DF. DF, welcome back with your question.
Hi, thanks, Pamela, for the presentation. It was very informative. Thank you. I have a question about, it sounds like IBS cannot be treated with nutrition. I didn't know that. What do you think of someone saying that they cannot have food that contains histamine, or they say that they have some like mast cell, whatever that means?
Yeah, that's a separate condition, actually, called histamine intolerance. And I had an intern do kind of a deep dive into that. And I'm going to create a workshop on it. It's not a very common condition. And we're pretty convinced that there's something else going on besides this. It's maybe another condition like IBS where there's some psychological factors involved. So I'll have more to say about it later, but we can't find, we were unable to find, and this was a medical student intern who was taught to be a pretty good researcher by us here. And we can't find definitive, again, it's like this IBS, a moving target. You can't find definitive biomarkers for it, and that sort of thing. So I don't know, maybe next year if I'm invited back, I'll have a presentation on that for you, but it's separate from IBS.
Thanks, Pam. Up next, we have Janine. Janine, please go ahead and unmute yourself. Thank you.
Hello, thank you very much for your presentation. My question is, can another condition such as pelvic pressure caused by May-Thurner syndrome give symptoms of IBS, but in effect you really don't have IBS?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think that goes to what I was saying earlier about the noise. So what you try to do, and it's not just with IBS, I think it's with any condition, what you try to do is eliminate as many factors as you can to see what's really going on. And one of the things that we've noticed here is that in the last several years, people go to all these different doctors and they get all these different diagnoses, and then they take drugs and those cause more conditions and they go to more doctors. So by the time people get here, sometimes they have a pretty complex health situation. And so what you try to do is get rid of as much noise as you can. So a defined condition, something that is actually diagnosable by objective means, you get rid of that. Diet that's not so good, you get rid of that. Perhaps a probiotic that's needed, you put the person on it, you get rid of that. And you tease out the IBS by seeing if it goes away, then you know it wasn't IBS. If it stays after all that, then you know that it's actually IBS. But you're bringing up exactly the type of thing that goes on all the time, trying to figure out, is it something else or is it IBS? And sometimes by process of elimination, you determine that it's IBS.
Very helpful. Thank you, Dr. Popper. Up next, we have Diane. Diane, looking forward to your question.
Hi, Pam. You can hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. I have IBD and diabetes. I've been on steroids, hydrocorticosteroids. Now it's 10 years. And I think it might have pushed me into having diabetes. Not sure though. And I just wanted to know, I don't know if you know, would it be better, is it better to have a raw plant-based diet, or is it better to start with cooked? Because I'm just transitioning from animal-based.
Yeah, well, the animal food makes the IBD worse, much worse. That's one of the ways to eat your way into it. Having said that, most plant food will be just as disastrous. So if you're a member of Real Truth About Health, I've done at least one lecture on IBD a few years ago. We have we've tweaked it a little bit more even since then. We probably have had more people than most companies like us with IBD because we became known for it, actually, to help people get into remission. What our program is designed to do is drug and steroid sparing, and to try to keep everybody's body parts intact for their whole lifespan, because what happens to an IBD patient if you don't have some kind of effective intervention is the first thing that happens, it gets worse over time. And over time, classes of drugs outlive their usefulness, all right? So you have to move on to another class of drugs, and the drugs get stronger and stronger and stronger. And then when those don't work anymore, they start taking out body parts. One of the things that's made things worse is it used to be, and again, I've seen a lot in the 26 years I've been at this, it used to be that doctors were more very limited use of steroids, and they would start with very mild drugs like xalamine, for example, and then work their way up through. Now the drug companies have trained gastroenterologists to say, you throw everything you have at it right away. All right, so better to put them on a biologic right away. Well, what you're doing is you're torching drugs faster, which leads to the surgical removal of body parts faster. So the key is you can't ever guarantee that somebody's going to be in remission forever or be drug-free at all, really. But what you can do, a lot of our people end up drug-free, but what you can do is you can slow this all down and get to the place where you die before you live your full lifespan, die before you've used up all the drug options, and then all of your body parts intact, okay? The other thing that happens with IBD patients that people don't talk about often enough is if you have one autoimmune disease, and IBD is an autoimmune disease, you're going to develop more of them. Almost everybody does, all right? So IBD is no fun, but the thing worse than IBD is IBD and psoriasis and IBD and rheumatoid arthritis and IBD and hypothyroidism and et cetera, et cetera. So if you don't nip any autoimmune disease in the bud, you will develop more of them. We've seen people in here who have seven different autoimmune conditions.